Welcome to Juice Podcast. I'm Gwen Douglas.
I'm Emily Harmon.
Welcome to the holiday celebration episode. Dun, dun, dun. I wore sparkles, she wore pom-poms.
Yeah, I've got
Just
a red
show us.
pom-pom top on actually, so for everybody that's tuning in audio, you are missing out on the video today.
On her pom-poms.
It's not just any pom-poms.
It's a very nice, very red matching.
This is vintage Comme des Garçons actually. I showed my
It's
friend
very
Christian
cute.
that's got the shop here
Yeah.
in Berlin, and he was like, because you can tell from the labels when the collection came out, and he's like, this is 16 years old, did you know that? And I was like, no, I bought it in a vintage shop.
It's so cute. It's very festive.
I never really wear red, but
Pom-pom. It looks good on you. Yeah.
It makes a difference from the black and the greys.
Yeah.
And
That's
occasionally
surprising.
whites,
Yes.
monochromatic.
The monochromatic works for you. You are kind of monochrome. You have dark hair, pale skin. Yeah, works. I'm
And you're wearing,
something
I know, I love this.
very 60s.
I love it. I
I
wish
don't know.
I'd put a dress
Very
on.
flammable, I think. So I shouldn't
It's
get too close to the flame.
Candle.
Don't anyone light any cigarettes near
Don't
me.
lean against the Christmas tree.
I
for
feel
too
like
long.
it's like it's like a dress version of a shell suit or something. Like easily go up in flames. So today's challenge was, so we call it you were calling it celebration wines, which I actually thought was a very clever name.
Yeah.
Because it's true, not everyone celebrates a particular holiday, and
Yeah.
during this time of year, there's just celebration all around.
Yes.
And for other times of the year, there are some wines, like the wine I picked, I feel like even if there is no celebration, you open it and you're having a celebration
Because of the wine.
because it's delicious and you
Yeah.
feel real special. So I'm curious, you've got yours in some sort of,
I feel like maybe we should do yours first. I want to
only because you
keep
want
the
to keep the
anticipation.
tension. I know.
Exactly.
She's trying to keep
I've
this
got
tension going.
mine very artistically wrapped in some blue crepe paper, which is not at all festive.
It's very sculptural, I like it.
Gwen's being very kind because it looks awful.
It looks good.
I was like,
from
it would
over
look
there.
okay, kind of, yeah.
There's movement. There's movement and feeling. I'm going to use the knife of this guy. because-
Hey!
Hang on. There's
It's
no knife
there.
on that. Remember?
Oh, I see the knife.
I had
Alright,
some
yeah, give me a break.
injuries during the Meursault episode. I don't want to repeat that.
Oh, it's true, I remember that.
Acme thumb. Alright, so I'll just use the knife so then... Oh, that's fucking...
Gwen's using the type opener again, which
I
is...
feel like it's just punishment. It's just like a constant...
Until it breaks, we're going to use it every episode.
I'm going to be like, bang, bang,
Every
bang!
time you're at a Tycho gallery, you're just going to be like throwing it.
Flinging
across the
it.
room.
There'll be like stories on my Instagram of me just like
Oh.
running, trying to run it over with a car. So,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah, I think you're right. So this time of year, everybody is celebrating and
Different things, yeah.
things. So I think main things, Hanukkah, Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Just the fact that
New Year's
New Year's
Eve
is
is
coming.
coming up.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes-
I think everybody's kind of getting together, or at least taking some time off work, and
Right.
particularly here in Berlin, it's a very festive city because there's Christmas markets everywhere, so you can celebrate
So
Christmas
nice.
every day.
Oh, it's so nice.
Yeah, and drink Glühwein
Yeah.
and get quite drunk and.
I
Yeah,
love
we
it.
weren't repeating Glühwein this year because I think we still need a bit more time to perfect
To
our...
refine our recipes.
I think our technique was the real issue, wasn't it?
There were many.
It was on my
issues, I think.
side. I
Me
couldn't
too,
all the
I think.
alcohol out of mine. Yours
Also,
was
like
the
Lucas
citrus.
watching us do it was like, what are you doing? Like, it's going to be bitter, like the pith, the whatever, just a mess all around. So maybe we should just make a weird summer night Glühwein might be nice.
That sounds quite good. Especially maybe like a white
Campfire.
one.
Yeah. Like a cool summer evening.
We should do Greco-Roman wines, infusions, and see who comes up with the best old recipe from Greco-Roman wines.
Ooh, challenge accepted.
Yeah,
I love a bit of
we
research.
could also maybe bring someone else on for that as well. That would
Yeah,
be quite
fun.
funny.
So if there are any historians here, wine historians or otherwise, that
Or an
want to
archaeologist that wants to get
Yes.
involved, let us know.
get
You know
history
any
geeky?
Greco-Roman orgy wines? We won't be having an orgy on the
Caligula,
podcast.
yeah. We'll just have Caligula on loop behind us. But anyway, so I brought a Meursault. So this is Antoine Jobard, laitier, and
2015.
2015. And I really like Meursault.
Yeah, that's your soft
Just
spot,
love
isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think this is actually amazing if we base it on, I mean, we both celebrate Christmas,
Right.
so that's our big holiday.
Christmas
Do you do
dinner.
Thanksgiving as well?
No, we
Thanksgiving.
never did that. Thanksgiving? No. Because actually the Canadian one is much earlier. It's in October.
Okay.
And we never did it anyway because I grew up in the UK. And
Yeah.
my mum didn't do it. And
But when you were an adult there, you wouldn't...
Yeah,
Oh.
it was never my thing. I think it was just like... To be honest, my family's never been a big holiday celebrating... Like, we do weird Christmas, you know, like one year we did like Mexican Christmas where we had fajitas. Like the last time I was home for the UK.
You really are the Royal Tenenbaums. It's crazy.
My family did a American truck stop. My parents wore boiler suits. My dad was barbecuing.
For Christmas?
Yeah, for Christmas. We all had to dress up in outfits. I mean, even at Lucas's parents, we did black metal Christmas the one year and I face painted them both. It was amazing. So yeah, we don't do traditional Christmas. But I dream of traditional Christmases because I love anything like this. And this would be fab with Christmas dinner.
I
Turkey.
agree. Turkey, any birds, like for
Yeah.
people that don't do turkey and do chicken,
Yeah.
even I think with stuffing. and
Yeah,
that
with
sort
all
of
the
thing would be
nuts
nice.
and
The spice-
chestnuts
yeah.
and all this spice
Yeah.
stuff, I think. And if not, you just have it all by yourself with some cheese.
I was about to say that. After dinner with
Yeah.
cheese, that'd be nice.
It's kind of the... This is my, like... If
Or
I,
even like a Christmas Eve wine the night
Yeah,
before.
totally.
Bottle, fire,
Yeah.
some cheese out, watching
Super
a
nice.
film inside, little
Because
getty
you just feel
cozy.
special when you... Because they're not the cheapest wines. This was a little pricier. But I think, like, when I'm having a really bad week or month, sometimes I buy myself a Meursault to have my last day of work. Because then I think, like, I'm worth it. I worked hard this week. Just a little treat. So, it's a good treat wine. So all I know about this from my quick Google search is that it's, malolactic fermentation in oak barrels, aged for 24 months in French oak, 20% of the new. It's unfiltered. It does have sulfites. And yeah.
Let's give
There
it a
we go.
whirl.
So let's go.
Lovely.
It might be a bit too cold because it just came out of the fridge. I'll let the pro tell us.
We are both pros when it comes to drinking.
Maybe getting it in.
Enjoyment and drinking.
Yeah.
I think we're both on an equal
like
footing on that.
enjoying.
Yeah, I love Burgundy. I just think as well this is really this is everything that I want from it, where it's got this lovely, obviously you've got a bit of that
Yeah.
toastiness from the wood, citrusy, this sort of almost a little bit of stone fruit coming through, and then there's like sweet spice there as
It's a
well.
little bit of everything. It's like
Yeah.
a diamond. Multifaceted.
I got it.
Yeah. I explained it for those of you that are like, what? Like, so yum.
Mm. Tasting quite nicely. A little bit of reduction initially, because that toastiness is a bit dominant on the palate, but I think when that's open, it's
It's
going
a
to be
nice long finish.
almost has this like butter popcorn note on the
that's-
palate.
I think that's one of the things I really like generally about Meursault is they tend to be super buttery.
Yeah.
Like there's a real like
Buttery,
dairy
creamy, yeah,
thing going
lactic.
on. Yeah,
Malolactic fermentation for you.
exactly. But yeah, really yum. I'm happy to drink this without food,
That is delicious.
but it's really yum.
Mm.
Oh, thank goodness it's the end of the week. I'm really excited. This is like
Yeah,
all
just wind down
I'm like,
now onto
woo.
the chair.
yeah.
Get
Lovely.
ready for Christmas. You've got your prezzies. No prezzies under the tree here at Tycho Gallery though.
No presents for anyone. No
I
one's
had
been good.
hoped.
We've all been naughty. No.
This is Gwen's present. I should have wrapped it up and put it under the tree.
We could have been like digging for our presents.
Yeah.
No, but this is I think something that I don't know why I've got chestnut on the brain, but
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Super
Chestnut
weird.
stuffing. Oh my god. Or just, I love
this
eating
is so yum.
chestnuts.
I mean, I like chestnuts all round.
Yeah, I mean, you could also do that. If you were, if you had a limited budget for Christmas and you had to choose food or wine, you choose wine.
100%.
Just get a little fire
Yeah.
pit in the garden and throw loads of chestnuts
Yes.
in. And then eat
Yes.
the roasted chestnuts
So
on the bottom
yum.
of so.
I mean, one year, a very long time ago, one of my favorite Christmas dinners ever was like we didn't do anything. It was
Yeah,
an
it's
ex of
open,
mine, and he worked at a restaurant. So he went over. We lived next door to the restaurant. He went over. It's a really lovely restaurant in Ottawa called Becta, and he went over, grabbed a tray of duck confit and 3 baguettes, frozen baguettes.
Did he let them know he was taking
He's
it?
the head chef.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
I'm just imagining this guy going in mid-service and you can see them all being cooked.
It's
He's like,
closed,
just gonna take a few off.
No, it was like Christmas Day.
Okay.
So like went over there, grabbed a tray of duck confit and a couple of frozen baguettes that we cooked up fresh, and then we just drank wine and watched Christmas films and ate duck confit and baguette with butter, and I was happy as a clam.
That sounds great.
It's really good. Very carby and meaty, but
Yeah.
baguette. You can have salad other days of the year.
That's the good thing about dating a chef at Christmas, isn't it?
My God, this year I'm
cook.
so excited
Yeah.
because we go to Austria this year, and Lucas is a chef and his mother is a pastry master and baker, so
Did she send any of those little small things like she did last year?
no, she sent us pictures. I know, I was like, why aren't they here now?
I know, that was so good.
They're
I remember
so
coming
yummy.
around and just being like, I'm so glad they said I should
Tons
eat
of
as
them.
many as I can.
The shortbread, like,
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for shortbread.
So good.
I love it.
Yeah, I remember once actually, my ex-boyfriend was a chef, and when we did Christmas at my grandmother's house, it was so funny because we ordered a goose. The goose was much bigger than we had initially thought it was going to be. We managed to get it in the oven.
Cram it in.
But it was one of those Christmas days where it was like,
It's still not ready.
it's like 6 p.m. usually we have Christmas lunch
Like
at 3.
3 or 4,
Like,
yeah.
We think it's going to be ready, and he's like,
Oh,
should I just
no.
start cutting bits
Also,
off?
like those
he
ovens
just- 'cause
too,
the
like,
oven, they had
There's
a
not
shit
enough
oven.
air moving around.
And they had a shit oven, so it was like one of those sort of early days
You'd
electric
been better
fan
off
ones.
cutting it and like cooking it flat.
It was just like, you know, like it was one where if you cook a roast chicken, it's going to take an extra hour sort
Yeah.
of thing. And he didn't know that, so then he's like sort of planned it all out. Everything's ready, but he's just like, I don't understand why it's still not cooked. And I'm like, it's a shit
That's the most
oven.
frustrating thing too. When you're like cooking for a bunch of people and you're like, I've got everything planned. Like last year,
I
was
followed the recipe
mental.
and the recipe
Yeah.
book exactly.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Last year, actually, it was like, because I cooked for Lucas was away last year, and I cooked for I guess we were 11 or 12 for dinner. So I cooked 2 chickens, did a chicken and a capon, and then also I had to do regular Christmas food. Then I did kosher food, and had to do vegan food. So it was like it's a lot of cooking. But I had a crazy because I love a list. Everyone should love a list, and I had a very thorough timing list of exactly when I should do everything. And actually, it was very relaxed. So I highly suggest if you're cooking dinner, make yourself a list. Go backwards. It's good. I think most normal home chefs don't think about doing that because it's such a kitchen thing to do.
I make a list. I
Yeah.
love making a list.
Make a list and then like figure out what takes the longest and
Start with
order
that.
of service. You
Yeah.
know, like order
Yeah.
of cooking. Have everything
Yeah.
prepped the day before. I had everything prepped and chopped in the fridge, and it was just a case of like assembly, putting things in the oven. It just makes your day so much easier. No messing around.
Yeah, I feel like I'd probably need you around for stuff like that because I'd be like, it is all going to work
Yeah.
out like 2 hours before. And
Meanwhile,
I'm
I'm running around behind like.
like, Emily, don't you think this should be in right now? It's going to be fine. Everybody eats at midnight. That would,
Like I was right
like
on
that
time.
risotto that time.
Oh man, it was a fun night. But actually, what was funny?
Did you get it right on time?
Yeah. And what was
Cool.
annoying, of course, I was.
Everybody
really
was on
It was
time.
fucking late because it's Berlin. Everyone was like an hour late. I was
Well,
like.
I disagree because there's also but you had no Germans, right? Were there Germans? Any Germans there? No,
Wait,
not.
so-
This is not.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
We had. Who did we have? No, we had some French, some Israeli, American,
English.
Germans, English.
Well,
Yeah, I
I
think
would
there was
say
maybe no
often
Germans.
often you throw a dinner party and you say 7:30, which actually
But
means
it's Berliners. It doesn't.
But
Berliners to me is not
actually
Germans.
means show up at 7:45 because no one fucking shows up on time. Nobody should show up on time when you have a dinner party. And a German will show up at 7:15 and you're like, you're supposed to be here in half
I
an
don't
hour.
have any trousers on. That's usually Lucas. He's like, fuck. Oh no. He's in his like sweatpants, like, or he's just cooking in a t-shirt and grandpa slippers. It's a strong look from Lucas. But yeah, this is yum. I would
Very yum.
drink it any day of the year, but I
Yeah.
think if you brought this to your mum, she'd be happy.
I think most mums would be more than happy with
I think
this
it's a
bottle
nice
of wine.
treat.
I think it's a very special bottle of
Yeah.
wine.
Very nice. I'm happy. I'll be seeing you later.
I'll be seeing you after the show.
Mm-hmm.
Meet me backstage.
Exactly. Oh my god, I can't believe she's gonna open it in the wrapping.
Yeah,
She wants to keep the surprise until the very last
I
second.
do, yeah.
I'm slightly afraid.
Remember we did the blind ones
I
last
know.
year? And you caught me out with that fucking Sancerre.
We had a 2009 one of those recently. Wasn't that much of a treat.
Donut. I know you won't.
I've been
Just
watching
wanted to check
someone
that-
change or something like. I'm gonna hide the cork too because it's.
Exactly.
She's
In the back
pocketing a
pocket.
pop it.
Pop it in the
bag.
pocket.
Who's that? Dame Edna? Poppet? Is it Dame Edna that called everyone Poppet?
Oh really?
Was it Dame Edna? Could be wrong.
Okay. Oh no. You're gonna get a little taste, and then you can unwrap the bottle.
Well. I mean, it smells like an aromatic. But it's quite light. Is there a little noble rot in this or something? No.
I'm not going to answer any questions yet. I'm going to give you a... Gwen is blind tasting the wine that I have in wrapping. This is funny. It's so stressful to blind taste.
It's really
on camera.
stressful.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's an aromatic, but it's pretty low. It feels like low. Hang on a minute. It doesn't feel like. I don't know.
My clue for you is think about flavours, think about weight.
Like it has a viscosity.
What
about
could
it.
it be or what couldn't it be? So maybe
Like I'm
eliminate.
thinking aromatic, so I was
Yeah.
thinking like Riesling, Gewürztraminer, like all of these sort of like thicker. What are some? And I don't think it's like necessarily lower in Europe because there's still it's not like it doesn't have like crazy amounts of flavor. It's still quite subtle
Okay.
and light. But it's not. I don't know.
Nice texture to this wine.
Mhm. Yeah, there's definitely like a thickness about them.
Yeah. Viscosity, body.
Yeah. So, this is a toughie. I mean, I'm tempted to say
It's so
that it's
evil
like,
that the wine person has
know.
done this to
me.
you.
I mean, I'm leaning towards because it doesn't necessarily scream French to me.
Okay.
So I'm thinking it's either like German or border, so like Alsace or something. But I'm probably.
If I
completely
said,
wrong.
don't worry about the place for now, but focus on what it might be made
Is
from.
it a blend?
It's a single varietal.
It's a single varietal. Like now I'm using my head more than I'm using.
Just checking the vintage.
I'm using my head way more than I'm using my nose, which is.
No, use your nose.
No, it's difficult.
Follow your heart, Gwen.
Maybe we entered a Disney. Just follow your heart.
Follow your
It's stressing me
intuition.
out. I'm
Yeah.
stressed. I mean, I'm getting.
Go
my-
into a quiet
Okay.
place.
Okay. I mean, it's definitely like peachy. There's some peachiness happening. There's also a little citrus, but then there is a little like honeyed a little bit. That's maybe why I was asking you about the botrytis. If there was something,
I don't think
but
there's any
don't think-
botrytis
no.
in this.
So then it's probably then in the map.
For me, it's slightly atypical, but there are notes on the nose and on the palate that should tell you.
There
the
is a bit of
variety.
spice, so that's why I was like, it's for me either a Riesling or a Gewürztraminer would be my pick.
Do you want to unwrap the bottle?
Yeah.
That's very badly wrapped.
I feel like it's gonna take me on a whirlwind. I'm very curious what this is. Ah, I haven't tried this. Oh no, I did try this.
I bought a wine that would be a celebration with Gwen.
So actually, this is these are the guys from Oregon.
Yes.
So this was my #1 pick for Raw this year.
I didn't even know they were at Raw this year.
So this was my number one favorite
So
wine.
I've had this bottle of wine for 6
Really?
months. I've just been waiting to surprise her. So we've got the
It is
2000.
atypical, I think.
Yeah.
It does have a bit more Riesling on the nose.
Because it's
than I think.
volcanic soil.
But it's really, this was my absolute favorite thing at Royal this year.
So 2016 Ovum
Hey.
Gewürztraminer. I was like, no, because I was thinking, I was like celebration wine, and then I was like, oh, it's so obvious
I
to
know.
choose champagne.
That's why I also was like, oh, I don't want
I
champagne.
know, and then you picked white burgundy, and then I was like, oh, I don't know if we should do red. We've done like a lot of red episodes.
Also, I don't, even though Christmas, I feel like evenings with red.
But then I was
it's
just
red.
like, fuck it.
This is
If I
very
had Christmas
fun.
Day with you, this would be the wine that you'd feel
Bam.
very happy about celebrating with. So and I didn't know if I didn't know that you knew it. So I was like, this might.
I actually
be very
only just
interesting.
tried it last week, and actually, there weren't so many things at the actual Raw fair this year that I was super
Yeah,
excited
it wasn't
about.
a great lineup.
It wasn't a great lineup, but this was really exciting. I really loved it, and because there were actually a lot of Gewürztraminers on show.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
You didn't notice?
No, I just
Actually,
cherry
heaps.
picked.
There were lots of like Eastern Europeans doing,
Okay.
and they were not delicious.
Yeah.
Like the kind of Gewürztraminers that when you smell them, you're like, wow, you're like so delicious.
This
And
is
then
a
you taste them and you're
Gewürztraminer.
like flabby and
Yeah.
like just nothing. But this is super because actually
This is a Gewürztraminer that I actually really enjoy, and I actually like. So it's funny because I think it wasn't. Can't remember if it was this year. Yeah, it might have been this year actually. I tried this in spring with a very close friend of mine, Jan Konecki, who you know, and he's like, "You've got to come here," and we tasted the wines, the Ovum wines together, and he's like, I related a lot to Guen about Gewürztraminer, right? And I'm like, of course. Here we go. She's fucking filtering through. My mate's in another country. And then, so then he was like, and I think it is. It gets a hard rap. And I was like, okay. And he's like, and I brought you here because you need to try this one because it might change your mind. And it did. And I was like, this is really good.
because actually these two in a lineup on a Christmas dinner are actually they're not so far apart.
Yeah.
I feel like in terms of texture and
body and weight. Yeah.
I think one could follow the other.
And
easily.
this is atypical in terms of there is lot. And I don't know
doesn't
if it is
huge
atypical. I just wonder if there are not many people making Gewürztraminer in this style.
Because I do think that like on the nose for me it was like a bit petrol-y and a bit Riesling-y.
Yeah, because there is almost this sort of limey character that's there.
It's a bit lime and.
But then because I knew what it was, I could notice this like floral rosy thing going on.
I could smell the floral thing, but it was so light, and it wasn't until I tasted it and you got the bit of spice
And that almost
and the
lychee thing going on.
But I think.
But
This
it's
is really
very
nice.
discreet and delicate, and I think it's very charming actually.
Totally.
So this is a project that was the winery was started in 2011. I think they're a husband and wife team actually. And they originally started producing, I think, Riesling and then
they have quite a few
varietals.
Lots of varietals.
But this is Gewürztraminer that's from basalt soils, so volcanic, which I think is why you get this lovely freshness to the wine as well. They make the wines all completely the same way, so always with wild yeast, and that same story of like nothing take away, nothing added. So there's no filtration, there's no fining, but all of the wines do have extended lees contact, which
gives it that
the
creamy,
texture.
mouthfeel.
Yeah, and I don't know,
Really nice.
I don't know what their approach is to picking, so I don't know if they pick a little bit earlier, which is why they're still getting some freshness. But all the wines are vinified in a mixture of neutral oak, neutral acacia barrels, and concrete eggs. So
cool.
you know, not impacting flavours. From the vessels.
Maybe that's why it was giving me like a German feeling, because it wasn't feeling like over the top like sometimes the French can be. It does have a slight, but it was like confusing.
Sorry, France.
Sorry. I love French. Hey, I love it. But I think like it, maybe that's what, I didn't even think of the Americas.
Yeah.
I was like, head was immediately in Europe. Which kind of makes sense in terms of like not thinking like it was Southern Europe, because Oregon is quite far north in terms of North America.
So this is from Willamette Valley as well, or Willamette Valley.
Oh, is that how they say it?
Yeah.
I always say Willamette. Shit.
Mate, don't get me started on Yosemite, which
Oh, yeah.
I only found out recently was Yosemite.
Yep.
You know, because I only ever, that's what I would call it.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
No, so like because obviously it's always the Windows background, and I'm like, I love that Yosemite. It's really beautiful. I'll have that.
Love
And then
it.
recently,
Yeah.
again, this is only
You
this
never
year.
watched like
I know, because I'm
Yogi
just...
Bear? Didn't they live in Yosemite Park?
Did he?
I don't know. I'm making shit up now.
I mean, it could happen, but I just maybe was just like, what's that word? You
There's
know,
so
sometimes...
many of these places in the States, they make no sense.
Well, then I was actually, it was, when I say this year, it was like 2 or 3 months ago, I was sitting there and somebody said Yosemite, and I'm like, where's that? And they're like, it's a national park. And then I started thinking about, have I
She
heard
was
of
like that meme with the woman and the algorithms, like the mathematics. She's like, huh, Yosemite.
And then I was like, hang on a second, is this the same thing that I thought this was for like 15 years of my life?
Yes.
And then she's like, yeah, it's Yosemite, you know, and then I was like,
It's like Arkansas, where you're like, why?
Arkansas.
Why? When my parents lived in South Texas, there were so many places that you'd be like, oh.
English language applies to both of these situations.
Very
by the way.
confusing, yeah. So it was like, they lived near a place that when written, it looks like,
She
look at me, I'm like slamming it back.
Neck it.
Harlingen. That's how it's spelled. And I was like, oh, are we going to Harlingen? My mom's like, it's Harlingen. Of course it is. Why would you pronounce all the letters in the word? You just... But I guess it's the same thing the way North Americans think of like Worcester.
Yeah. Or
Like-
Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah,
Worcester
that one,
sauce, Worcestershire sauce. They're like, why is it Worcester sauce? And I'm like, oh.
You drop the Shire. Just ignore the
Yeah.
Shire part. We don't need it.
Yeah.
Just Worcester. Worcestershire sauce. People like, they go mad. Can't figure
What
it out.
other ones are there?
Leicester, that's another one.
Yeah, Leicester's confusing for a lot of
Leicester's
people.
very...
Leicester.
Leicester. Leicester, just Leicester.
Yeah, we have a lot of places like that. Loughborough.
Yeah, well that's... Yeah, my sister went to Loughborough.
Do you know, and I realised, because of spending time in other countries like Australia, so in Australia...
Also some mad words.
But you know, like, so for example, there's a place north of where my parents live, which is spelled like rocking chair, but like Rockingham.
Yeah.
So the Aussies say Rockingham. Oh, we're going to Rockingham.
Yeah.
But like, if you were in England, you say Rockingham.
Yeah, Rockingham. Like
So
Effingham.
I'm going to Rockingham, and they're like, what are you
What?
talking about? It's so funny.
That's
so then
so
there's,
funny,
and
the
there's a
hand
place
drop.
up north called Exmouth. So then I
Exmouth?
work with, yeah, so I
What's
work...
Exmouth?
But do you know, I've realised that it started to infiltrate my mind, because I've been... Who is Leonardo DiCaprio? Fuck off! No one's incepting here, but everybody is. No, so I got into a black cab recently, and I'm like, I'll go to Exmouth Market, please. And the guy looked at me.
What?
I love this because they're so candid.
Yeah, I
Black
love
cabbie's like, no
The best.
bullshit. Like, just talk to me like a fucking real person. What are you talking about? And he's like, are you talking about fucking Exmouth Market, mate? And I was like, yes, I am. Sorry.
So
I was
embarrassed.
like,
I'm
I was just
sorry.
like, I don't know why I even said Exmouth. But
You'd probably been
Weymouth.
reading it.
yeah.
Yeah, Weymouth. Take
I've
me to
been working
Weymouth.
in this restaurant on that street for 5 years. I'll go to Exmouth Market. Who am I? Why? You know
But
something.
you know what it is? I think it's like a foreign language thing too. Like our heads are so full of like so many pronunciations. It's
Yeah,
out of control.
you were so funny via text. You text non-native English
I know.
speaking text.
I speak second language English.
Why not over text? It's so funny.
In real life too.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say things like even I've had like friends and clients from other countries.
Write me when you're ready. That's yours. You always say write me.
Instead
Write
of I
me when
missed
you're
the
ready.
two, the whatever.
And I realised I started saying it, and then my friend Mark Andrew from Nova was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Hang on, what?
just
You
so
know
used
what I'm
to
talking about?"
ESL.
And he's like, "Why are you saying that sentence like that?" And I was like,
Oh
I
man,
don't know."
it's out of control.
And he's like, "Did you write to me?" Like, and I was like, "Oh no."
I
it's
am.
the
You know what it
third
is?
life."
It's 10 years of living in countries,
Yeah.
right, that don't speak English. You know, I also spent 6-7 years in the Netherlands before Germany, so now it's like a solid 10 years of living in places where English is not the... Like, I speak like some sort of weird kindergarten teacher. Like, I had a friend of mine that was like, I'm a fucking English major. Like, I took literature, and now I cannot speak my own language. It's like...
You are quite. If we're one-on-one, it's fine. It's slowly like.
Oh, it's just...
It
enough.
slowly disappears. It's mostly text
'Cause I'm-
messages that make me laugh the most,
I know.
because I'm just, it's so, because you rarely say that to
I
me
mean,
face to
my
face.
texting is actually like a mess to begin with because I have acrylic nails, and typing on that phone, it's like a struggle. Like I'm in a
So
I'm in a
I'll
battle.
see you then, and then we go. I don't know. It
is really awkward.
It's really funny because then it's just like because you don't speak like that in person actually.
But I actually say some things where I noticed, like I posted some stories on Instagram, and one of my friends from Canada who's German, she was like, "Oh my god, you have a German accent in English." I was like, "No."
And you're written.
No, speaking.
No,
I was
you
speaking
do.
I was
I'm
speaking
sorry,
to
you
the
do
dog.
not.
No, I was speaking to the dog, and she
Yeah,
was like,
okay,
"What
well, that's
are you
different.
on about?"
You do not. Okay, that's.
Lore. Like I say all these weird like yo, like all these weird Austrian.
There was
sounds.
actually. There is true. There is the odd sound. Something came up recently, and I heard
So
someone
strange.
say something, and I remember thinking, that sounds like Gwen. And I
Some
can't remember what
weird
it was,
sounds.
but there was something. You do that, and you're
I
like.
make a lot of weird
"Oh,
sounds.
We go there after. We go
Yeah,
there,
it's
and you
very
do. But you
annoying.
do. It's funny because your body language.
I'm
changes.
annoyed by
You
it.
do this little thing with your shoulders when you do it. Have you noticed that?
Oh, I do it a lot. This.
It's really.
But it's-
and then we go. Oh.
But it's also funny because when I used to try to speak Dutch, people would make fun of me because I don't have a super high pitched voice as a woman. Like I actually have my singing voice is quite like mid range. Like I do better singing men's songs than I do women's songs.
But
then,
you can still reach
Oh, yeah,
high
I can
notes.
reach high
You've
notes,
got
yeah,
a
yeah,
really
for sure.
delicate voice as well.
yeah, I have like a bit of range.
Gwen, by the way, is a ridiculous
Killer
singer.
at karaoke.
And if you ever follow her on social media sometimes, she posts drunk karaoke videos where she's singing karaoke at home by herself. And they're fucking good. And she always
They're
sings
weird.
in French. So she's like this little cute, sexy
Because I'm
karaoke
a
woman.
Gainsbourg girl, you know? Pum, pum. That's why I'm so excited. Paris Tattoo Convention this year, they're going to have a live band for live karaoke. Very excited. Watch it and do some Gainsbourg. Maybe a little Patsy Cline, some Kitty Wells. Get my country on. That's my other love. But no, I definitely like notice when I was trying to speak Dutch, it's almost like you're like, don't hurt me because I don't know what I'm doing. So your voice it rises a little bit in terms of pitch. And I notice I do it too with German. It's this like, it just goes up a tiny bit. And I notice it with my siblings when they, say my older brother, when he switches between French and English, I notice that the tone of his voice changes depending on what language. And I think that's actually quite normal depending on maybe when you learn to speak a certain language or how you speak it or
Yeah,
with
how
whom.
confident you actually
Yeah,
are.
sure. So your vocal cord strain is going to be different based on, your anxiety. So when I'm speaking German, I'm quite anxious. So it's like,
I go
Goes
really
up.
I go really quiet.
yeah, people are like,
Maybe
"What?"
I should speak second languages all the time.
Just speak people are like, she must be German. She must be just speaking English for our benefit.
They're not saying that.
No, I'm wishing. I'm just going to start speaking terrible English, worse than I already do. And maybe people will
But it's funny because you.
struggling
I think
already.
it's when you because you have a partner who's Austrian, so you're messaging with him and communicating. with
Keeping
him
it
often.
simple is best.
And he's got amazing English, but like there
Totally.
are things that don't always fit. And then you, because you're used to hearing it all the time, you just set back.
Oh, God.
Because we mirror so much of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
what
yeah.
other people do. Like if we're sitting here, like you know,
My
our
accent
legs
changes.
are
Yeah.
crossed, and then like maybe if you lean in, I might lean in,
Yeah.
and
Also, my
You
English
become more
accent
English.
gets stronger. Yeah.
so it's funny. And if I'm with, like, if I speak to my younger sister on the phone, she's now been in Australia for.
So she's a bit of an Aussie.
I mean, she doesn't
Totally
sound.
Aussie,
There is
yeah.
no. When you speak to her, you wouldn't even know she's English.
Yeah, funny.
Because she's like full. Well, I mean, come on, you've got Canadian accent, same thing, isn't
It's
it?
very confusing.
So she's like that. My
But it's funny
parents
because
are.
Canadians
you
ask
met
me
my
where
dad.
I'm from.
My dad sounds very English still.
Yeah. But that's also funny because when I go to Canada, even though I was hanging out with my Canadian friends,
Yeah, but
people
the
were
Aussies
still asking
yeah,
me where I was from. They were like, where are you from? Or my friends were like, oh, wow, your accent got really funny 10 years away. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just a mess of all kinds of things
Yeah,
now.
but the difference is they have the ear of like the local person.
Yeah, right.
So then they're like, oh, yours is a bit different. But
Yeah.
then if you're going to somebody from the UK, where
Yeah.
you're from, like when I speak to my sister, I'm like, oh yeah, she's Australian now.
Yeah.
My
And it's like-
parents are somewhere in between.
My mother sounds Dutch.
Does she?
She's like
But
French Canadian
it's
speaking
It's
English.
funny that, like, and I know that
So-
I've been told when I speak to my sister on the phone,
Yeah.
that I apparently start to take on an Australian thing.
So this is what's really funny. So when my dad turned 70 this year, my sister, bless her, she's a peach, decided to like, I couldn't make it for my dad's actual birthday and they're having a party and I thought, I'm missing it. It's not going to happen. My sister was like, why don't you come and... She just apologized to the table.
To the wall.
Sorry.
Why just... I don't
Just
know
a really
why.
English thing
I
to
mean,
do.
I was going to say, I'm just fucking...
I say thank you to the bank like machine. It's fine.
My Aussie friend used to say that. He was just like...
I always thank the
He
machines.
just said, no, he just said, he's like, it's very funny here in England. I was like, why? And he's like, because you can walk into somebody and they'll apologise
To you, yeah,
I was
totally.
like, I know.
It's good manners.
Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, yeah.
Sister,
Yeah, all good.
peach.
So my sister was like, we decided to surprise my dad for his 70th. So I came a week early, and my sister was like, we're gonna go see them at the car show. My parents are into car shows. They're into VWs. And my sister was like, well, before we go meet them, why don't we do a little brewery tour? And we did a tour of the, my least favorite gin, Bombay. So we did a Bombay Sapphire tasting, but it's really beautiful there, and actually it's pretty cool. I had an idea for a very cool movie if anyone wants to make some strange film about it.
Bombay Sapphire?
Yeah,
Or?
because only 4 people have the recipe and they can never be in the same room at the same time. They're not allowed in case they get killed. I was like,
That doesn't make sense.
in case there's an accident. Like if they can't be on a plane together. They're not allowed to travel together. They're not said. It's mad. Really funny because at
Why don't they just tell more people
I know,
the recipe?
but they don't want to. It's very James Bond. I love it.
It's also like,
And that
come
factory
on,
makes
that's so
all of
ridiculous.
the Bombay Sapphire for the entire world.
Also,
That's mad.
I get it. Bombay Sapphire's okay, but it's not
not
the
that
best
great.
gin.
No,
it's
it's
like, come on, mate.
I'd
It's
actually
not
rather have
fucking
Beefeater, to be
Mona
honest.
Lisa. Me too.
I love Beefeater.
Me too.
Everyone gives it a bad rap. I don't mind Gordon's. I like Beefeater. Sometimes a gin is a gin. Don't get floral and fancy. Anyway, my sister and I, we were at the distillery. My mother called and she's like, because my sister and I had been like talking non-stop since the night before, my sister's English accent, so my accent got more English, her accent got softer, got more North American, because she lived in South Texas. My mom was like,
Who are you?
She was
what
like-
is happening?
I was like, what's going on? No, because they didn't know I was there. So I was like, what are you doing? Why do you sound like your sister right now? I'm very confused. And my sister was like, I'm just out with we were just watching a movie, Ollie and my husband.
Why are you not supposed to be there?
Because I was surprising my dad for his
Oh,
70th.
sorry.
Yeah. So then it was like,
Sorry.
my sister hung up the phone and was like, fuck, Mum's got such a good ear. She already knew that like something was up. And when she saw me, she was like, because my sister's accent became totally more like mine. We meet in the middle. We find this like happy middle.
But I think everybody does, don't they? Like the more, if you spend time with somebody over that thing, it's just, I think you just, because you're used to hearing something, your brain and the way that you then use that information is different.
They also say that when you have it's an empathetic thing to do, to like meet someone in the middle in terms of like sound or mirroring. That's an empathy trait. The more we drink this, the more I actually think like, if you like Burgundy or you like oaky, I think it's not necessarily oaky, but it has like a buttery, unctuous quality about it.
So I disagree with the Burgundy comment.
Okay.
Only because it's quite oily on the palate. Even though
It
it's
is
very
oily,
discreet
yeah.
for Gewürztraminer, but I mean, if you love Gewürztraminer, it's as close as you can ever get to Burgundy.
Yeah.
In terms of the style, probably, or at least of what I know and what I've tasted so far. But what I would say is, for me, this actually reminds me a lot of like southern Northern Rhone whites, like Roussanne,
I was thinking
that texture and creaminess, but still a bit more.
Well, because that's why I was thinking at 1 minute when I was tasting, I was thinking of what's the Spanish.
Like maybe grab those. I know you've got 2 sneaky glasses there, which I've gone a bit rogue.
They're filthy.
No one can see them. But we could maybe
They're not
just
filthy,
taste them.
they
But I
just
think
have-
if we went back to the Burgundy,
totally.
then it would definitely taste it more acidic than this
Totally.
one.
I mean, it already smells more acidic.
Even though we can't smell acidity, I know what you mean, because it's much more of these citrusy
Sharp.
fruits.
That's what I
Yeah.
should say. You can't smell acidity. Well, I can.
Something that comes up in all my training
Yeah.
sessions all the time, when they're like, "It smells acidic," and I'm like, "No, you can't smell it." But that's what
But
I'm
hang
saying
on
in
a
my
minute.
head, and then I'm like, Okay, let's break this down.
But then I'm curious, like, okay, if you can't
But
smell acidity...
you can smell the fruit spectrum, so I think you're...
But what if you're smelling something like a liquid that is sharp and, like, is vinegar sharp? Like, when you smell, like, what are you smelling then? That sort of like...
Well, so if we smelt vinegar in wine, though, then that would be acetobacter. So, but...
do you know what I mean? Like,
no, I mean, obviously with certain things, so if something was acetic, like vinegar, then you would have volatile aromas, so you'd be able to smell more of that, of course. And I think it's a good question, actually, because I think it's not as clear cut as the way I just kind of rolled in on that. I think you're right. Because I think
people like think they can... There's obviously things that make... That will equal as tasty. You're like, I know that will be acidic because it smells like X, Y, Z. But it's not necessarily...
And I think you're right, because... And maybe that's what... I probably shouldn't have just sort of steamrolled in like that, but I think when you are smelling particular wines, obviously from the nose you can never know 100% what the acidity level is, but there could be indicators on the nose that might lead you down the track. So things like citrusy fruits, for example, because of when there's a hugely sort of citrus, green apple focus. We're talking about young wines here, not aged wines, obviously, because then it gets a bit more complicated. But for younger wines, if we're dealing with that sort of fresher aspect on the nose and on the palate, obviously on the palate with the acidity, but on the nose, then usually it'd be a cooler climate varietal.
That's why this was a bit confusing.
Or a lower alcohol varietal.
It's a very confusing taster, actually.
Whereas when we go to the Gewürztraminer, though, there is this more exotic floral note, and as soon as you taste it, like, it's oily, it's rich. Like when you go back to this now, the Burgundy feels a lot lighter. Whereas like you almost forget some of those buttery notes. Now you can see what
the lift in it,
and this is what makes Burgundy so amazing and so amazing food. That racy acidity, even though you've got the texture and weight.
So I actually think then they would follow each other really well. I think this would follow that really nicely as a way to like move into something else.
And different cheeses as well. Like this Gewürztraminer
double fist.
Double fist, exactly.
We're celebrating. We are right now.
Yeah. Yes.
We're here.
Yeah. And I think also with the with what I pair them with in terms of cheeses, like Burgundy with like aged cow's milk cheeses, like Old Parmesan, Old Comté, but like you know when it gets really salty and crystallized.
Yes, I mean that's my jam. I think that's why I also love Meursault so much. Like Comté just give me a huge.
You would also your wine if you were a wine. We talked about this, didn't we, before?
If we were wines.
Yeah,
I mean I would be a Gewürztraminer. I feel like
maybe
champagne.
I think
vintage champagne.
I think you'd be a Gewürztraminer like this. That's like because you're a woman of great depth and quality.
Oh, that's very nice.
Sometimes a bit showy,
but not always loved by everyone.
no. But I if I chose a wine for you, I wouldn't choose Gewürztraminer. But I can see why you identify with because you're very colourful. And you are quite
flamboyant. Sometimes.
Yeah, flamboyant and very expressive, like the way that you dress. With your makeup and everything, that's what I love about you. But I think if I chose a wine for you, it would be vintage champagne or Burgundy, because I think you're still.
Well, I mean, I like it because
because
I do think that too.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
This is fucking delicious. Thank you for bringing it. Because I honestly didn't think I'd
get. You wish we'd done this episode before Raw.
No, because I. Because it
was. My chair's even moving.
Because I actually like when it came to Raw, we were walking around and you know. There were not so many wineries that I was so excited to see, but then that's always an opportunity then to try new things, and I like to try new things. So I was sort of like randomly hitting in and out, going to regions that I think are interesting, and I was really excited that there were a couple of Americans. I mean, there were literally I think 2, but there was this and someone from Washington whose wines I didn't.
Ohio.
No, it was what is the name? We won't slag him off, but it was like, didn't love it. Someone that really just buys grapes and makes it, and it was like, I don't know why that, like, Lucas was like, he loses points, and I was like, I don't know why that should make you lose points.
I disagree with this.
Yes, because I actually think, like,
I
told him I don't know why he should lose points for that.
I think you need to look at, we talk a lot about sustainability in wine. It's getting very deep for a celebration episode.
It's alright.
So
that's what happens around the Christmas table anyway. Yeah. She gets awkward.
Yeah,
I like it.
When the mince pies come out. But this would be nice mince pie.
I know, it's perfect.
Fuck, I should have bought you mince pies. I've got some mince pies at home. Anyway, so we talk about sustainability, and it's like, you know, the whole discussion is what does that even mean? It's a very complex. It's a very complex thing, and actually, if I'm talking about sustainability, I'm thinking about a number of different things. So obviously, environmental is what most people mean when they talk about sustainability, but then it's also the social aspect and economical sustainability as well. So some people wouldn't be able to produce wine because they can't afford to make vineyards, but
grow
grapes from their own vineyards or buy vineyards.
We got it. ESL.
Brain's going faster than mouth. That's an issue.
That's
I have
an
a lot,
issue,
but it is an issue. But I think so. We talk about that, and I think things have modernised so much that the idea of the negotiant has totally transformed itself. And I think not enough people talk about this. Like, negotiants did used to be shit because they were just buying random grapes from whoever they get grapes from.
I think now it's a. This is why actually Lucas and I had this conversation, because I said, like, I don't think, for me, you don't get points off for that because it's a completely different way to make wine. Because I actually think it's quite interesting. If you're in a particular region and you know who's selling grapes and you get to try things, you're like an artist that gets to decide what goes into your grape. You're not a slave to what grew on your land. You can be like, actually, well, I need some of this. I need something like this. I don't get it. You know?
Yes and no. I think you're right. I think it's a way more complex, and it's way more complex because I think that applies to some rules. Other rules, you make agreements with growers before they produce the grapes.
Sure, of course.
Other times you also have agreements with those growers that you work with over a period of time where it becomes sustainable for everybody for those three factors, because you're investing in their grapes that they're growing. Yeah, true. Often a lot of decent negotiants offer them a higher price than they would get from the local cooperative. Because
then they get maybe more like
they get better amount. Right. And then you can also negotiate, this is how I want you to look after the vineyards. And, you know, if you're one
That's the name, negotiant. Yeah. They're negotiating everything. Yeah.
And if you're one person starting off small and you don't have any money, it's a great way to launch yourself. I mean, in Burgundy, some of the producers I really love, like I love Benjamin Leroux, I like Camille Giroud as well. They're really interesting producers that are negotiants.
Negotiant is a big thing in Burgundy, is it not? Yeah. Like, when I think about negotiants, I think about Burgundy.
Me too.
Yeah.
But the quality now today is that you do have people that care a lot, that are working directly with the people they're buying grapes from.
Interesting. So, but maybe that whole thing from Lucas is like, maybe because we're at a particularly like natural wine fair that's about the way that people are growing things specifically.
I mean, also, let's not get into dogma.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody gets into dogma. How much sulfur-free, if you use any sulfur, you're an awful
You're out,
winemaker.
you're not on the team.
If you don't have, and you're right, I think it's really good that you brought this up, because it's something that I've been thinking about a lot, and I'm trying to work out where the chips
where the feelings are,
and what is correct, because of, you know, like I was talking to a friend who produces wine. It's like, oh well, there's all these different factors in the way that you could approach the model, and it's like, actually almost anything you do is going to piss off somebody. That's the reality,
because everyone is watching you.
Don't look at me. But
because there's always someone that has an idea.
But I do think, like, if the quality is good, if you're working with the right people in the right way, if you're being respectful to the people you're working with, for the planet that you're working with, for the space, the environment, or whatever, what's the problem really at the end of the day? Why does it need to be about ownership? Like, why are we so indoctrinated in this capitalist world while it's getting
really... Well, that's exactly what it is, because it's like ownership.
Only if you own the vineyards does that then mean that it's good, and then does it then mean that there's quality, because actually there are many growers that work in those vineyards they don't own.
And actually I think it's also interesting because there are different jobs.
I'll give you some more. I know you want.
Different jobs when it comes to making wine, and maybe someone is like excellent at growing vines and someone is better at making wine. Yeah. So it's like sharing the load. Yes. You know, if you're a fabulous farmer and you are really good at making fabulous grapes, but beyond that it's not your forte to make wines. I mean, we see lots of this also in the natural wine world, but there's lots of growers that don't necessarily make the best wines, or vice versa. You know, everyone's experimenting. And maybe it takes someone who knows what they're doing to go, I love the way you're treating your vineyards. I'm going to make phenomenal wines with your... Yeah, and it shows the the strength of a vigneron.
I'd also like to say, because just a closing statement from me
Yes.
on this, is that so many people are very excited about South African wine. I went to South Africa this autumn, and most of the growers and most of the iconic producers in South Africa do not own their own vineyards. Everybody is buying from growers.
Really?
For a number of different reasons, because of the political climate
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
a lot of people are scared to buy their own vines and vineyards and farm because they're worried that either some lunatic might come and kill them to steal some shit, or the government might take it off them. So it's a very
That's also super interesting. Yeah.
But they're making some of the best wines today on the market, and they're not from vineyards they own. They might manage them, or they might buy the fruit from. But I think there's a lot to be said, looking at the South African model, that it does, being a negotiant does work.
Yeah.
When it
works right. Yeah.
And when the right
people.
When people care.
Yes, I mean, I think that in general for everything is, if everyone cares and thinks about how it affects their community and 100%. The things at large. Oh, this is a nice sentiment to leave our episode on.
Yeah. Go into the new year
caring about everything. If everyone just took a little more time to think about what works for your environment, your place, your financial situation, that of your people around you, we're all going to be better off.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet.
I like it.
Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
It's the Gewürztraminer talking.
The Gewürztraminer, yeah.
Hang on, so we have to do some sign-offs. So you can find us on Twitter.
I was going to actually do that.
Ready to
I was like,
fade away, fade to black.
No, we're not going to do that today. But just one thing, happy Christmas. Thank you so much for supporting us. We really appreciate it. And if you don't, we do know that apparently 75% of people that follow our podcast don't subscribe, so we would love you to subscribe.
Just show us that you're there.
Yeah, I mean we don't take any. It's a completely non-profit podcast. We don't take any money.
That's why we're talking shit about people all the time. We don't take any money.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't take any sponsorship or any advertising or anything like that. It's all self-funded. And we do everything ourselves. So we would, if you could tune in and just join our subscription base on YouTube, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. So we are on Twitter.
Oh my god, that's the one that juice
_podcast.
podcast. On Instagram at juice.podcast.
We have a website in case you want to buy one of our tote bags as pictured in the video.
Juice.show.
Anybody that is tuning in on YouTube, shortly when we finish the episode, a little Juice logo will show up by Gwen.
Here.
There'll also be a little click through link just underneath me that will take you through to another episode. We'd love to just stay with you. We're fortnightly now because we both have jobs.
Busy jobs. Very busy.
Thank you and Merry Christmas. Is there anything else?
Yeah. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy
New Year. And we'll see you in a week with hangover cures for those people that need a little bit of prep.
Who are irresponsible.
Like us.
Cheers.